So this time for my reader rewind, we will be going back to the year 2012. So let's go ahead and get started. So some quick facts about me in 2012. I was a senior in high school, or I graduated that year as well in that May. I played volleyball, I worked at the zoo, I was still a butterfly keeper, which is probably the coolest title I've ever had. But some key things that happened to me in 2012, I got my second ear piercing, which is not overly exciting, but for me, who now has many, just doesn't keep many of them with hoops in them, that was a big deal. This was also the year that I went on my Europe trip. So the high school that I went to, the juniors and seniors, because the classes were so small, the juniors and seniors went on a European trip together. So it was every other year. Well, it fell on my senior year, which was perfect. And we spent 2 weeks trekking across Europe. We went to Germany, Italy, France, and England. So much fun. Loved every single minute of it. I also, over that trip, grew a much stronger bond to my best friend Jessica, which unfortunately meant that other friendships kind of waned a little bit on that trip, or maybe we realized we don't need each other as much as we thought we did. And it was a little bit of a struggle, it was a little bit of an adjustment, especially because we were in a foreign place without our parents, without many other people besides our classmates. So it was a little awkward, but honestly, the relationship that I got out of it with Jessica is totally worth it. That trip was so much fun. We did all sorts of stuff. This was my first time really getting to engage in a foreign culture. I had been to Italy and England before, but that was for a business trip with my parents. So I didn't really get to experience a whole lot. So this trip was really magical. I loved every single minute of it. Almost every single minute of it. I will be popping up some pictures from that trip next to me while I'm talking about it. But oh my gosh, so much fun, had an absolute blast, really kind of shaped me into the person I am now, because I was very opinionated on that trip about what I wanted and who I wanted to hang out with and how I was going to spend my time, because this was really my first taste of freedom or independence. So it really got to my head and I was never the same way since. This was also the year that I started college, because I started in that August. College apparently is not for me, or at least moving away from home and going to college 2 hours away was not for me. That ended up being a bad decision. Talk about that more in next month's video. But along the way, my music, book, and pop culture tastes really started to change. My music preferences, I still loved the Beatles. I still loved anything 80s rock, pop. But I started listening to bands like 303, Paramore, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance. I went heavy into my emo grungy phase then. And you can't really tell because I was soft grunge on the outside, but I was hard grunge on the inside. It was borderline embarrassing for me personally. I know that is a lifestyle for some people and you rock that. For me, it was not it. It just wasn't it. But anyway, my pop culture tastes were a little different. I actually started watching movies like thrillers and kind of scary movies, but not scary because I'm a chicken, but kind of spooky stuff. I got really into Supernatural, Doctor Who. What was that one show called? Heroes? Those were all my favorite shows, and I would watch them on repeat all the time. I also was really big into Big Bang Theory. So just add that into the mix of what I was watching. I was watching a lot of syndicated stuff, and I really loved it. That was back when Netflix actually had good shows. So there was definitely plenty for me to watch. And then as far as books, this was when I started really getting into fantasy books. I remember reading Graceling for the first time, and like that little series, which I really liked. This was when I did my first reread of Charlie Bone. I really liked that because I hadn't read it since like elementary and middle school. This was also the time when Hunger Games was really big, and like I just could not get into it. It just was not my thing. Personally, I didn't really care for the characters that much, so I was that cool kid that was like, I don't like Hunger Games. That was me, basically high school and college age. Like, I just thought I had to be too cool for everybody, and I was not at all. But I got really into like YA fantasy books. Not so much science fiction, but I remember I read a few. Although 2012, I didn't read a ton. I think I ended up reading like 15 or 20 books the entire year just because I had other things going on. This was also the year that I found out that I have narcolepsy. So, for all of you who do not know what narcolepsy is, do not believe everything that you see on TV. It is a condition where it is easier for you to fall asleep during the day or while you're doing something or whatever, and it comes in very wide ranges of severity. So the type that I have, it doesn't have like a specific name or anything, but I don't fall asleep during the day that much, but if I do, I'm just like out cold, and it's not like a drop and fall and whatever. That's a whole different thing. It does, like, I could be sitting in a quiet place and like 30 seconds later I'll be asleep. I did it a lot during classes, unfortunately, just because it was really, really hard for me to focus. I also have sleep paralysis, which means that while I'm sleeping, my body will come out of REM sleep, or my mind will come out of REM sleep, but my body won't. So I'm basically stuck. My mind is awake, my body is not. My body takes a little bit to catch up, and I have hallucinogenic dreams. So to tie those two together, I will see hallucinations of things in the room coming closer to me. If I have a dream, it's very, very vivid, and I remember it, and it's horrifying usually. But that was when all of that really started to come to a head, and I finally decided to go to a doctor about it, and thankfully they were able to give me kind of a diagnosis and figure out what's going on. So that happened in 2012, which was all super fun. And it was right before my birthday too, so like couldn't have been better. But yeah, so a lot changed for me in 2012. But by the end of the year, I was a college student who didn't play sports, who had probably gained 20 pounds just because I was on campus and not playing any sports of any kind. I was binge watching everything and anything I could find on Netflix. I wasn't really reading that much. I wasn't really doing that much homework. So yeah, all those college students that like you get told, hey, don't be like them. That was me. Hi. I am not the best role model, but anyway, 2012 was an interesting year for me. I definitely don't think it was like super eventful besides the like first half where I was a almost straight A senior in high school, going to Europe and meeting like friends and making strong connections with my best friend and whatever. And then the last half of the year, I just felt like a loser. So, you know, it's all about balance. But anyway, that was me in 2012. Not overly exciting. Definitely a lot more pictures to scroll through this time. So if you all want, at the end, I will put in some extra pictures that weren't from that Europe trip. There's some gems in there, I'm sure. But anyway, tell me down below what you were like in 2012. I would love to know. I love talking to people. It is one of my absolute favorite things to do. If you want pretty nails like mine, my Color Street link is down below. That is how I run this channel, and it fuels my reading addiction. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!